Ladies and gentlemen, kindly rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Please be seated. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Infocom State Forum 2019 is extremely proud to present a special tourism showcase on Mystic Meghalaya. We are very honored to have with us His Excellency, the Governor of Meghalaya, Mr. Tathagata Ray. We welcome you, sir. We also have with us Mr. Cyril V. Darlong Diengdoh, Director of Tourism, Government of Meghalaya. We welcome you, sir, as well. The first speaker, before that, I welcome both the gentlemen on the stage. The first speaker is Mr. Cyril V. Darlong Diengdoh, and let me take this opportunity to introduce him to all of you. Mr. Cyril V. Darlong Diengdoh belongs to the 2010 batch of the Indian Administrative Service, Assam Meghalaya Cadre. He hails from Shillong and has a degree in law from the National Law School of India University, Bangalore. He has served as Deputy Commissioner in East Garo Hills and South-West Garo Hills districts of Meghalaya and is currently posted as Director of Tourism, Government of Meghalaya. Now I request Mr. Cyril V. Darlong Diengdoh to deliver his address.
Thank you. Honorable Governor of Meghalaya, Shri Tathagata Roy, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my proud privilege and honor to share the dais with the Honorable Governor in this session on Mystic Meghalaya and to present on Meghalaya tourism. Our Governor takes a keen interest in tourism, especially promoting Meghalaya tourism, and we in the department are fortunate to have received his guidance. So I'll begin my presentation. This is the new logo of Meghalaya tourism, which encompasses really the state's beauty. You can see the living root bridges there and the pitcher plant. It was launched just last week, so therefore this beautiful occasion to also showcase this logo to the distinguished audience here. Yes, sir. Yes. So the new logo really encapsulates the beauty of the state, which is nature. You can see the living root bridges there between H and L, The pitcher plant is depicted there, which is unique to Meghalaya. And of course, the thundering waterfalls and the blue to distinguish the beautiful rivers, the beautiful skies that we see in Meghalaya. Those of you in West Bengal, I think, are not unfamiliar with Meghalaya. Many of you have traveled to Shillong and to places like Saura and Cherrapunji to see the beauty. But however, for the audience here, I will introduce Meghalaya. Meghalaya means the abode of the clouds. And it's famous for Shillong, which is one of the finest hill stations in the country, famous for its music, food, culture. When we talk of music, we are reminded of the music scene in Shillong, from rock bands to the very famous Shillong Chamber Choir, which has performed in the country and across the world. Meghalaya is really home to unique culture and biodiversity. We have beautiful waterfalls, beautiful caves, pristine waters, nature in terms of forests, the rolling hills, and of course, the living root bridges, which have become iconic as one of the emblems of Meghalaya tourism. We also have a young population which is interested in football, in athletics. They are musicians, they are young entrepreneurs. We have very niche, high-value products, be it our organic tea or the Lakadong turmeric, which has one of the highest curcumin content in the world, our fruits, pineapples, strawberries, flowers. So Meghalaya offers really unique experiences to the traveler. Our culture is unique. As you all know, we are a tribal state where we have the Khasis, the Jaintias and the Garos and other tribes which inhabit the state of Meghalaya. We have multiple festivals throughout the year. And the festivals of the Khasis, like the Nongtrim dance, the Baden Klam, the Wangala, are all linked to the traditional agricultural practices. These are all during the harvest time as Thanksgiving festivals. Apart from these, we have other festivals that the state organizes, especially when we come in the month of October, November. Recently, we had the India International Cherry Blossom Festival. We all know cherry blossoms are famous in Japan, that is during spring. But Meghalaya offers a unique cherry blossom experience in autumn, that is in October and November, which has attracted tourists from all over the world. The Shillong Autumn Festival in the beautiful location of Umyam Lake is another festival that draws in youngsters. These are just some of the festivals that I'm mentioning. I'll focus on what are the strengths of Meghalaya tourism, and I'd really like to spend some time on what we call rural and ecotourism. Today, all over the world, there has been a phenomenal growth in what is called experiential tourism. Today, tourists want to go and experience the unique culture, the food, and get authentic local experiences. With the rise of social media, Instagram, Facebook, many of the tourists want to crave these unique local experiences. And Meghalaya offers this. For example, we have in our villages, like the villages I've described there, Maulingbuna and Kongthong, village societies which promote tourism. So really it is a model of sustainable and responsible tourism, where the villages come together and promote a brand of tourism which showcases their unique culture, their unique food, and the unique styles of living. So for example, in Kongthong you have, you can stay in one of those traditional huts. In Chandigarh in the Garo Hills, another type of traditional hut. And you offered the unique culture of that place. We have the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve in the Garo Hills, which is home to the oldest genus of the citrus fruit. These are all beautiful places for trekking, for adventure tourism, for experiencing nature, and therefore I want to emphasize on the fact that Meghalaya can position itself in the country as offering a unique brand of tourism that is experiential tourism, where nature is untouched, where the air is clean, the skies are blue. The double-decker living root bridge. Today, most travelers who come to Saura, that is Cherrapunji, want to trek down to this double-decker living root bridge. And this is really something that talks about the unique culture of the Khasi Hills. You have many of these living root bridges. These are actually made by humans by bending the roots of the Ficus elastica tree. And today, this has attracted not only tourists, but scientists and engineers who want to study this bioengineering marvel where human beings and nature have coexisted for many years. Some of these bridges are as old as 500 years, and till today they are strong. So this really represents the unique model of sustainable tourism that Meghalaya has become famous for, and everyone wants to trek to these living root bridges. The Kongthong village another example of our unique culture and heritage. In fact, these properties today are listed on Airbnb, so we have international tourists visiting these places. This place is famous for, it's called the Whistling Village, because every resident in this village has a unique tune or song attached to their name. So they're not called by names because names can be common, but the mother and the child have a unique bond where every resident is recognized by a unique tune. And this has really attracted tourists to understand the culture and the richness of the tribes living in this state. Adventure tourism is something I want to focus upon because this is really something that also people are looking for, tourists all over the world. We have some of the longest caves in the world. The longest sandstone cave in the world, almost 25 kilometers long, was recently discovered, called the Krempuri. Many of you may not be aware, but today, if we were to ask, in which age do we all live? The age meaning the geological age of the Earth's history. It is the Meghalayan age, named after Meghalaya, the beautiful state of Meghalaya. That's because scientists studied a cave in the Momlo, that is the Cherrapunji area, and found evidence of drought that occurred 4,200 years ago. And because of that evidence that they found in that cave in Meghalaya, the age we live in, that is 4,200 years till today, is now called the Meghalayan age. So therefore, Meghalaya can position itself as a global destination as far as caving is concerned. We are working with tour operators, with caving associations to promote caving as a niche tourism area where people can come and experience our beautiful caves. Over 1,600 caves are there in the entire state. The other destinations that have really come up well are Shnong Pedeng, which is close to Dauki, close to the Bangladesh border. Mausanram, which all of you know is one of the rainiest, the wettest place in the world. So we have campsites where people can do trekking, can go bird watching, can do scuba diving, snorkeling, kayaking, you name it, mountain biking. So really, the youth especially are attracted to these kind of avenues. And with the rise of social media, people are blogging and Instagramming and sharing these pictures on the internet. What are some of the emerging destinations that we have? Our policy in the state is to promote sustainable and responsible tourism. Today, the Principal Secretary from West Bengal mentioned this in her address. And really, we feel that Meghalaya can show the way when it comes to promoting sustainable and responsible tourism. We are building capacity in the rural sector to promote sustainable and responsible tourism. And the bottom-up approach, where villages have promoted tourism, like the example of Kongthong that I gave, Maulingpana that I gave, is really a model where communities are empowered to showcase their brand of tourism. So we have diverse tourism products in the state. Tour guides are being trained so that when tourists come, they can be shown the beautiful nature, taken for walks, etc. Many of you are aware that Meghalaya is famous for Shillong, for Cherrapunji, that is Sora, and the Dauki sector. But there are so many unexplored areas of the state, and the government is taking steps to develop these circuits. For example, in the Jaintia Hills, which is famous for the Nartyang monoliths, for the very old, almost 400-year-old Durga temple there. For example, West Khasi Hills, which is famous for waterfalls, and of course, towards Garo Hills. So we are taking traffic more to the interior areas of the state, and the model is to promote ecotourism and responsible tourism. Other aspect that we are promoting, and which I am sure people from West Bengal will be interested in, is heritage tourism. Recently, we are just about to go and launch something called the Shillong Heritage Walk, where tourists will be given a guided tour of the history of Shillong by looking at its architecture. This is the core area of Shillong, which is near the Raj Bhavan, the All Saints Cathedral, the Wards Lake area, so that tourists who are interested in this can understand and experience historical tourism and heritage tourism. We all know that the great Rabindranath Tagore stayed in Shillong, and he in fact penned his novel and set his novel called Sheshir Kobita in Shillong. The Brookside Bungalow, which is there in Rilbong, which you see in your screen below, on the screens, is really preserved by the Art and Culture Department. And this is something that we want to promote as part of the Shillong Heritage Circuit, so that tourists will get attracted and come for these other experiences which they may not be coming for. Really, the core and the strategy is to strengthen tour operators, and that's why I want to spend some time here where we need to focus on strengthening tour operators. Kolkata, we know, is a gateway for Eastern India. For Shillong, many of the tourists come via Guwahati by road. Today, we have, thanks to the Government of India, the Udan scheme, we have a direct air connectivity between Shillong and Kolkata, the Umroi airport, which is at Umiam Lake. This is a daily flight, and I'd encourage our tour operators to popularize this flight because it's a beautiful flight, it's going regularly, and this is something that can connect people much further. Recently, the Chief Minister of Meghalaya led a delegation to Bangladesh because we know that Bangladesh has the most foreign tourist arrivals in India, and I'm sure many of them come to India via West Bengal. So can we create a circuit, because tourists do not want to enter from the same place and exit from the same place. Can they come to West Bengal, take the flight to Shillong, and exit via Dauki, which is the land customs station there? Then we create a larger circuit, and everyone, the whole stakeholders benefit. They can come to Guwahati and exit via Guwahati also. So that's, I believe, the government's role is to facilitate all this, where we can bring together stakeholders and create these circuits and these tour packages, which as of now may not exist, where it is difficult for foreign tourists or domestic tourists to find these packages. So we need to create these circuits and create these new destinations and market the Northeast as a composite destination. Market East India as a composite destination, where you have different experiences from the mountain to the sea beaches to the forests to other unique experiences that I just highlighted. So my presentation will end with a few more slides. I just wanted to take this opportunity to show you some of the visuals so that you can see the beautiful visuals from Meghalaya. This is in Nongstoin. The Nokalikai Falls in Cherrapunji, Sora is very famous. The Danklen Falls, the Sinsang River in the Garo Hills. This is an aerial view of the Killang Rock in West Khasi Hills, which we are also developing as a site for adventure tourism. Of course, the living root bridges, some of the paddy fields that people want to experience and see how agriculture is being practiced. Other waterfalls, the famous Umiam Lake, the Krangsuri Falls in Jaintia Hills, which is attracting a lot of tourists, especially from Bangladesh. So I end my presentation with this last slide. I thank the organizers and all the distinguished invitees and ladies and gentlemen for your patient listening. And we are here to promote Meghalaya tourism. I'm sure forums like this can give us opportunity to showcase not only the strengths of Meghalaya tourism, but can bring people together, all stakeholders, especially captains of the tourism and travel industry, to see how we can promote our beautiful country of incredible India, and especially India's Northeast, which is really paradise unexplored. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Diengdoh, for your speech and address over here. We are most privileged to have with us His Excellency, the Governor of Meghalaya, Mr. Tathagata Ray. Mr. Ray is currently serving as His Excellency, the Governor of Meghalaya since August 2018. He had previously served as Governor of Tripura from 2015 to 2018. Following a political career with the Bharatiya Janata Party, which included a stint as president of its West Bengal state unit from 2002 to 2006. He was then a member of the BJP National Executive, the party's central policy-making body from 2002 till 2015. Mr. Ray also briefly had additional charge of the office of Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, during which he handled the ouster of Chief Minister Khalikopul following a Supreme Court judgment and swore in Pema Khandu as the new Chief Minister. An engineer by training, Mr. Roy is a former professor of construction engineering at Jadavpur University. I request His Excellency, the Governor of Meghalaya, Mr. Tathagata Ray, to address the gathering. I would request you, sir, to kindly step up on the stage. And a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome His Excellency, the Governor of Meghalaya, Mr. Tathagata Ray.
Ladies and gentlemen, It is a great pleasure to be able to present to this august gathering the beauties of my state, Meghalaya, where I have had the good fortune to be the governor since last August. However, my association with the state of Meghalaya did not begin last August. Actually, I spent part of my childhood in this city, which a lot of people don't know. And up to the age of 8, we intermittently lived between Kolkata and Shillong. And I have very fond memories of those days of Shillong. Of course, I was born in Kolkata, but my brother, Shogato, whom many of you might know, he is a member of parliament. Shogato was born in Shillong. Actually, our family, both sides of our family were in Shillong, settled in Shillong when it was the capital of the state of Assam. My maternal grandfather was an engineer in the PWD of Assam, and on my father's side, my father's elder brother was a doctor, and we used to travel to Shillong until very recently. Finally, when my aunt became very old, they sold their house and then came over to Kolkata, and then that ended my regular sojourns to Shillong. But apparently that was not to be God's wish, because one day I found myself ensconced in the Raj Bhavan, which is something I never imagined I would. But it's a very pleasurable thing, let me tell you, being a governor in Shillong. What is Meghalaya like? As Mr. Diengdoh has explained to you with the help of a presentation, it is a very picturesque place. It is a very tourist-friendly place without being touristy. We know what a touristy place is, and Shillong is not such a touristy place. One reason for that being that it is an administrative capital of a state, and once upon a time it was an administrative capital of a much bigger state. The English, I suppose, chose this place for its salubrious climate. Right now in the mornings, the temperature is around 7-8 degrees. In summer, it never rises above 27 or 28, and in winter, it almost goes to freezing. Actually, in Shillong, there is no snowfall, but occasionally we do see a little bit of ground frost. And in the very upper reaches of Shillong, like places like Laikor and all that, we do see quite some snow. Not falling perhaps, but you see some snow on the trees. Shillong is the capital of Meghalaya, which is not to say that Shillong is Meghalaya. Meghalaya is a state which consists of 3 distinct tribal areas, that is the Garo Hills, Khasi Hills and Jaintia Hills. Originally, when Shillong was the capital of the state of Assam, it was also the headquarters of the UKNJ, that is United Khasi and Jaintia Hills. And at that time, the whole state of Meghalaya was divided into 2 hills districts, that is Garo Hills and Khasi and Jaintia Hills. Now the districts have been carved up and there are a larger number of districts, but the characteristic of the place has not been lost. This is only for administrative convenience. Now, as for the people, indigenous people of the state, there are 3 principal tribes, hill tribes, that is Khasis, who inhabit the area around Shillong, then Jaintias, who inhabit the southeastern part of the state, and the Garos, who inhabit the western part of the state. They have different languages. Khasi and Jaintia languages are very close, but Garos have a different language, and they even belong to different families of language. The Garo language belongs to the Tibeto-Burman family, whereas the language of Shillong, that is Khasi language, it belongs to the Khmer family. That is the same family of languages as Cambodian. So you can imagine what kind of variety there is in the state. And that is certainly not the end of the variety, that is not even beginning of it. The greatest, the USP of Shillong is its, or of Meghalaya, is its natural beauty, its unparalleled natural beauty. In spite of having been in the state in my childhood and then later on grown up, transplanted to Kolkata and once again back transplanted to Shillong, I never tire of that place, sheer natural beauty. The town of Shillong is bounded on its south by a long and high range of hills called the Laban Hills. And when one watches the clouds creeping down the hills, it's really a sight for the eyes. It of course means that rains are coming. And as we call, the Laban Hill is a barometer, that from looking at the hill you can make out when the whether there's going to be clear weather or whether it's going to be raining. But then the sheer sight of the rains coming and with the clouds creeping down gradually down the hill is really a sight for the eyes. It's a beautiful sight. The people, as I said, there are three principal tribes, Khasi, Garo and Jaintia. The state is about 90% Christian. The principal Christian denominations among the Khasis and Jaintias are Catholic and Presbyterian. Garos are mostly Baptist. There are Khasis and Jaintias following their indigenous religion also. They number about 10%, 10-15%. They are called Seng Khasis and Saint Rage Jaintias. They have their individual religions, and there is great religious harmony in the state. There are non-tribal people in the city also, not much outside the city, principally Sileti Bengalis, then Gurkhas, that is Nepalis, then there are Biharis, there are Marwadis, people from other parts of India. Now, those of you who have been to Shillong would know what Sileti Bengali is. It is not like the sort of Bengali that you speak in Kolkata. In fact, it is quite different, and some of you may not be able to understand it. In Bengali, when we want to say, what is this? We say, what? Eta ki. In Shillong, we say, ita khitareba. If there is any Sileti in this crowd, he would readily understand what I am talking about. But rapid fire Sileti spoken is sometimes not even intelligible to me. It's a difficult tongue to master. But I have gone electioneering in Shillong, and I have tried speaking one or two sentences. I have mostly got out of practice. But because I could get the intonation right, I immediately could get the crowd to empathize with me. Unluckily, my candidate lost, but that is a different story. The hill tribes of Shillong or Meghalaya are matrilineal. Matrilineal, I am mentioning these things because natural beauty is not the only thing about Meghalaya. These are interesting things about Meghalaya that for those who are interested in these things would find them attractive. The tribes are matrilineal. Matrilineal means the properties devolve from one generation to another generation to the youngest daughter. And the rest of the family get nothing. And the male members, after their wedding, they go and live in their in-laws' house. Now you imagine what you would call such a person in these parts. You would call him Ghorjamai. And generally you would look down on him. But what a varied country India is proved by the fact that that is a done thing over there. Natural beauty, the USP of the place. It's ethereal, unbelievable. Why is it unbelievable? I have been to all states of the Northeast, and I don't suppose I would be, it would be injudicious on my part to compare the other states to Meghalaya. Assam is mostly flat. It is also a very picturesque state. It has got a lot of variety. It has got low hills. It has got a huge river, Brahmaputra, and huge and turbulent river. But that is about when the variety ends. It's also rainy like Meghalaya. Then we come to start from the southernmost part, Mizoram. Mizoram is a very unvaried place. I've been to Mizoram a number of times. It's just one hill after another, one hill after another. Tripura is partly hills and partly low hills and partly plains. Then you come to Nagaland. It's also largely hills. There are some valleys. Arunachal is virgin forests. Arunachal has got a lot of jungle, unexplored territory, but somehow I did not find the place half as attractive as Meghalaya. I have been to really difficult parts of Arunachal like Tawang and where we have the dam, forget the name of the dam, but in spite of all these things, in spite of very turbulent rivers like Subansiri and Kameng, Arunachal is, well, so-so. But Meghalaya is a feast for the eyes. You have hills, you have plains, you have water bodies, you have rivers, you have valleys, and you have picturesque waterfalls. The waterfalls, the sheer waterfalls of Shillong, or if you take the whole of the Meghalaya, are a feast for the eyes. Mr. Diengdoh has already shown you quite a few. There are, among the notable ones, around Shillong town, there are Elephant Falls, Sweet Fall, Bidden Fall, Bishop Fall. These four are practically within Shillong town. All four are worth seeing. Then if you go a little further out towards Cherrapunji or Sora as we call it in Meghalaya, in Sora you have the Mosmai, also known as the Seven Sisters Falls, and the Nokalikai Falls. Nokalikai Falls would possibly be one of the, possibly the highest single fall, single drop of a fall in the whole of the Khasi Hills. The trouble is it's mostly swathed in fog. But if it is clear of the fog, then it's beautiful, fantastic. Then you have a fall called what's the fall near Amlarem? Nongkri. Huh? Krangsuri. Near the town of Amlarem, in the West Chantia, in the East Chantia hills, you've got a fall called Krangsuri. This Krangsuri is such an interesting fall that the water falls from a lip of the rock so that you can go below the falls and you can watch a screen of water falling in front of you. And this is the beauty that you can really enjoy if you visit the state in the rainy season. Most people would balk at the thought of visiting the state in the rainy season, but I'd say that that is one of the times when it's most beautiful, principally because of the greenery and the falls. The falls are full of water, and that is what you really get to see when you go to these places. Then the Garo Hills part of Meghalaya have two national parks, Balpakram and Nokrek. Both are extremely interesting, but the infrastructure is a little wanting. I will, towards the end of my talk, I'll come to the subject of what improvement I would like to see in the tourism infrastructure, mainly for the benefit of Mr. Diengdoh, in the hope that he will convey it to the government and do something about it. Caves, he has already mentioned. There are trekking routes, that also he has mentioned. One thing that he has not mentioned, and which is a particular favorite of mine, are the gorges. There are on the road from Shillong to the Bangladesh border, between two places called Lailongkot and Painursla, there are very deep gorges. You can't see the bottom of that gorge. And there is a short stretch on which the road has gorges on either side. It's a fearful place. Actually, I had heard from my parents that when it was a narrow road, that place, they usually used to close their eyes when their bus was passing that part. But now the road has been widened with the result that it is not so fearful. But even so, it's a fantastic scenery. It is not publicized in the tourist literature. I would request Mr. Diengdoh to mention it, because it is one of the things that I personally find very attractive among nature lovers, and I am a nature lover. Apart from gorges, there are trekking sites and there are views of Bangladesh. See, the reason why it rains so much in Meghalaya is because the monsoon clouds come and hit a massive, a vertical wall of rock in the region of Sora, Mawsynram and these places. And that is why these places get so much rain. But below that massif, you have flat ground. And that flat ground stretches all the way up to the Bay of Bengal. You can see the huge water bodies of the district of Sylhet. They are called Haur in Sylhet, in Sylheti language. And those water bodies, you can see the rivers snaking through the plains. If you get clear weather, that view of the plains of Bangladesh is a breathtaking sight. It can be viewed from a number of places. It can be viewed from Molinong or from Sora or from a number of other places. I would very strongly recommend that you have a look at it. It is not so much heralded in tourism literature as the Himalayas or any such place, but I've been to the Himalayas. I've trekked to Kailash Mansarovar. I've gone to Ladakh also. Let me tell you that the beauty of Meghalaya can cock a snook at any of these things. It is such a place, such a beautiful place. And the greenery. Himalayas are very bare. Beyond a point, there is no greenery. But the greenery in Meghalaya, together with the hills, is breathtaking. The roads are hugely improved now. Formerly, between Guwahati and Shillong, the main lifeline of the state of Meghalaya, the road used to be one way, with the result that in between Guwahati and Shillong, there is a halfway house called Nongpo. The cars and buses used to come from this side only and this side only, then they used to switch and then go over, and all the time the route was one way. Now it has become 4-lane, that road. The geometry is vastly improved. You can drive really fast, and while you drive, you can enjoy the scenery of that place. One of the things that we used to do when we were children, we used to watch when the first pine appears, because pine trees appear only around the height of 1300, 1400 meters or so. So you used to watch, and among us brothers, who saw the first pine won a prize or won that competition, whether there was a prize or not. Heritage tourism is something that Mr. Diengdoh has spoken about. Heritage tourism is very important. Not just for Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore had composed his Shesher Kavita with Shillong in the background. But he had written, sat in Shillong and he had written the book Raktokorobi. Those who are Tagore aficionados would know Raktokorobi and Shesher Kavita, both are classics and both have association with Shillong. Shesher Kavita, of course, mentions Shillong right through. Raktokorobi doesn't mention it, but it's an allegorical piece. But even so, the fact that it was composed in Shillong lends a special aura to it. Another person who was associated with Shillong was Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda delivered his last lecture in Shillong in what is now called Quinton Hall. It is now owned by the Ramakrishna Modern Mission. Ramakrishna Modern Mission have a huge presence in Meghalaya. They have a central ashram in a place called Laimukra in Shillong. They have this Quinton Hall where Swamiji delivered his last lecture. I think he was photographed for the last time also. Because at that time he was suffering badly from diabetes. At that time insulin had not been discovered and he was suffering very badly. His face was puffed. You can make out that he was an ill man. And he died within a year. This is 1901 when he had been photographed and he had lectured at Quinton Hall, and he died in 1902. But his memory lingers. Unfortunately, any of the houses where Swami Vivekananda had lived, they are no longer existing. There is one house in Lavan which is a disputed property. The house has been demolished. Some individuals are trying very hard to get that house property acquired and made into a heritage site. So once again, I make an appeal to Mr. Diengdoh to do something about it. It would be a huge attraction because adherents of Swami Vivekananda are found not only in West Bengal but in all over India. Shillong also has a great potential for attracting foreign tourists, particularly those from Bangladesh, because Bangladesh was only next door. From Shillong, in the Badabazar area, what is now called Yudu, there is a board in Shillong which says Sylhet 86 miles. So it is that close, not even 100 miles. So you can imagine, and the entire southern boundary of the state of Meghalaya, southern and western boundaries are with Bangladesh. The northern and eastern boundaries are with Assam. Few things about Shillong that are not so agreeable, and also I would like to mention it for Mr. Diengdoh. His number one is that not sufficient number of flights. There ought to be more flights. And there ought to be flights by bigger aircraft. Unfortunately, there's something wrong with that airport because of which bigger aircraft can't come, only ATRs can come. Secondly, there is an airport called Baljek, which is next to the town of Tura, which is in the capital of, which is the district headquarters of Garo Hills. But Baljek airport is also not functional. Third thing is there are two national parks, very attractive national parks in Garo Hills, Balpakram and Nokrek, which have a lot wanting in terms of infrastructure. And finally, the worst thing about Shillong, I have told you the best things about Shillong. The worst thing about Shillong are the traffic jams. Horrible traffic jams. Must do something about it. That responsibility partly devolves on me also, because I'm a civil engineer by profession, and handling traffic is one of the branches of my discipline. Before I end, I would like to set at rest an apprehension that has been expressed by a number of people. Right now, Meghalaya government has on the anvil a bill requiring citizens of India who are not regular inhabitants of Meghalaya to register after entering Meghalaya. Now, there is a lot of disagreement, there is a lot of adverse opinion about the justifiability of the bill. The bill right now is on my table, that is governor's table, and I'm deliberating over it. It will possibly take some time. But even if there is a disagreement between the governor and the government on that bill, there is no acrimony. There are no dirty scenes between the governor and the government like we see every day in the newspapers in a particular state that I would not name. Well, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, that is about all. And here is inviting you to the beautiful, picturesque state of Meghalaya. Please come and enjoy the scenery, enjoy the heritage, enjoy the beautiful climate, and make India a great country once again. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, His Excellency. I would request everyone to kindly be seated, and may I request you, sir? Thank you, sir. May I please request Mr. Diengdoh to join us on the stage? May I now request Mr. K.K. Mahapatra, Organizing Secretary and Head, Infocom ABP Private Limited, to kindly present mementos to our esteemed guests on the dais as a token of our gratitude. May I please request all of you to kindly applaud? Thank you. It has been an honor and privilege to have His Excellency, the Governor of Meghalaya, here with us. We thank you, sir, for joining us at Infocom 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे